being said around this. Okay, kids, there have been some hurtful and hateful things being said around this school, and so we are going to hear from a guest speaker. Here to explain why Kim Kardashian is not a hobbit, please welcome Aquaman. That's right. Uh-oh.
Hey everybody, it is White Noise Boys episode 10? 10?
It's like 14.
Oh, we'll call it 10. Uh, we'll call it episode whatever. This is your host, Chris Taylor, and with me is...
Alexander, yeah, Alexander, whoa. The butter sizzle's back.
Oh
What's
god,
up, everyone?
I was waiting for it.
I mean,
So,
I gotta build up the suspense.
what's been sizzling, Butter Pat?
Oh, things and stuff. Finally got a chance to play some games.
I don't believe you.
That's okay.
I
I'll tell you all about it in
I
our
look-
gaming segment.
I look forward to hearing about your new favorite Facebook game.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's so amazing. And I just caught up with all the Magmar Sucks episodes today.
Yeah. Dude, you missed
So
out,
fucking
didn't you?
epic.
Hmm?
So epic.
Yeah, you missed out. That was a real. There are some real winners in that batch. We batch record a Magmar Sucks, and we had the Poliwags, the Abracadabra Alakazam, and I think Machop through Machamp. Machoke is secretly really interesting.
I had such a fun time listening to that.
Oh
One
man.
problem I ran into, though, is trying to figure out for covers. So I didn't really do too many, like 2.
I think Machoke and Poliwhirl were the clear winners.
Poliwhirl, yeah, I'm gonna keep that one till you see it. I'm gonna release that one today.
You could just have a Photoshop of Poliwhirl falling off a cliff.
Um, I had him Michael Phelps in it.
Why would he be? That's Poliwrath. Poliwhirl is skilled at walking.
Oh yeah, fuck. I might redo that one.
Ugh.
So.
Sorry, I've been while I was waiting for you, I was scrolling down. There's a top 100 horror movies that was basically combined via IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic, and Amazon Prime, and I'm really happy to see Tucker and Dale versus Evil make this list as one of my favorite movies.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Have you ever seen that movie?
That came out a long time ago, didn't it?
Yeah, like 6 years ago.
Yeah, relatively.
It's on Netflix if you haven't seen it. It is very funny. It is so funny.
I'm enjoying that Netflix subscription.
Yeah, I bet you are. I pop into your account sometimes just to see what you're watching.
Well, it hasn't been that extensive yet. What have you been doing this week though? Before we start wrecking.
Literally nothing. My mother has failed to get me any copy or any information that I need to set up the databases that are not just the WordPress database for posting. So I set up the static front page. I do have a new favorite tool for building web pages though, because you know how you need that lorem ipsum, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's one that just by being fed all of Nietzsche's collective works procedurally generates fake Nietzsche quotes.
Oh my god.
Pretty good. I also like the fact that instead of saying, I need 2 paragraphs, you say I desire, and then it's a text input, words of truth. Which I think is very funny.
That's really amazing.
It's really good. It's top notch.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it's a top notch service. I donated some PayPal money so they can keep that thing going.
No, that good? Oh my god.
Well, you're talking to a man who has like all of Nietzsche's writings.
Really?
Uh-huh.
You'd get along really well with another friend of mine that's really into Nietzsche.
A lot of people
Okay.
who are really into Nietzsche are idiot assholes who just like it because nihilism is too edgy, bro.
Oh no, I know what you mean, and I agree, and that's why most like of Seattle, I
Yeah,
feel like
people who
they're,
like
they're doing
Nietzsche,
shit to be hip.
people who like Nietzsche, a lot of them are as bad as people who like Doctor Who.
But no, trust me, with this one, he's not. He's a lot like you, except I think 100 times more depressed.
Oh no, I'm just secretly really good at hiding it. I hide my depression by being verbally aggressive to everyone else.
So I'm thinking of starting a new series of some type. Not sure how I'm gonna do it.
Oh
Where I'm
god.
just gonna read this kid's wall posts. They're really good.
Okay, go for it.
He goes into like, dude. I mean, I'll read you something.
And before it's Alan and you're talking about his weird conspiracy bullshit,
Oh no, dude. He's not even good about getting his conspiracy shit down.
he literally every time he posts some dumb shit, it takes me 2 seconds to debunk it.
Dude, like if you're gonna go in on something about yourself, your beliefs and such, at least like fact check yourself so that if you're bullshitting, at least, you know, people won't be able to just destroy you.
Yeah. I mean, I did get to do a thing this week today that I was very excited about. Today I got to leave my house for a place that wasn't an interview or the grocery store for the
Hmm.
first time in like 4 months. Got to go to the dojo, the Coder Dojo. It's you've been there. For people who don't know, volunteer. Usually, it used to be every Saturday, but my wife got a new job with a different schedule where she didn't have Saturdays off, so I had to stay home because no one could watch baby. But you go and you teach kids who are in third to 12th grade programming at no cost to them or their parents.
Hmm.
We even have laptops and stuff, and they now have like an independent room, which is just strictly go in there and do whatever. Uh, so I was in there, and there's this one kid who was about halfway through learning JavaScript from Treehouse,
Oh, nice.
but he knew some jQuery, so he wanted to learn some vanilla JavaScript. And I gave him a series of problems, and he finished. At the end of the Coder Dojo. He finished in a place where he had gotten all of the easy wins in his code. He was about to naturally code himself into a spaghetti nightmare.
Hmm.
I basically set him up to fail on his own time in his home, but in a way where if he has a single realization, it'll change the way he codes forever. So here's the problem. Here are the problems I gave him in order.
Okay, go ahead.
So, and the order I gave them to him is important because it leads him to do a specific thing. So the first thing is to have a picture, and when you click on it, you console log out how many times that picture has been clicked on. You increment every time. Very easy, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
modify.
wait, hold on. And he's doing this in vanilla, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
some jQuery.
Okay.
Uh, so
Either way, go ahead.
second thing, what's up?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Second thing was to have a text on the page and have it track, so you could see without a log what had been changed, right? So he got that working. I was like, okay, I'll do two of them, and that took a little while because he wasn't familiar with DOM events, so he wasn't sure how to differentiate them, right? And he got that working. And then I was like, okay, now make it six. And oh man, that took an hour and a half.
For 6 changelogs.
Yeah, for six different pictures who each have their own counters in the HTML. Because what happens is for the first one, you just hard code a solution. For the
Sure.
second one, you can hard code a solution and it gets messy. When you have six, it starts to get a little messier. So we wound up at the end refactoring. I taught him a little bit about objects and jQuery and event handling, so he was able to just get the pass the IDs in through the DOM event. But then I was like, okay, so here's now what I want you to do, and this is the hard part where he's gonna bomb on it, is now that we've gotten, because we just kept refactoring it until he was not repeating himself in the JavaScript. I was like, you're repeating yourself a lot in the HTML. right? So what? So I want you to refactor out the HTML, create it in a loop using the data that you know you need using jQuery. So that'll take some time. But then the thing I also want him to do is to have a button for each element that resets the counter for that
Interesting.
specific element, and then be able to change the picture. And what that's going to do is he's going to wind up with an unmanageable mess of code, because right now he's trying to code the logic into the UI. And
Mhm.
if he has the realization of separating these things with a message system, he's just taught himself model view model.
Yeah. No, that's good.
But the order in which I introduce the steps to him naturally leads him to hard code everything together. So I deliberately set him up to fail, but I also gave him a link to my GitHub repo where I solved this problem with Knockout. But
Well, technically that's not pure JavaScript, but it's a good example.
I have a
Knockout's a pretty
I have a pure
pretty good
JavaScript
example.
version in there too, where I manually wrote it all. Because he wanted to learn, he was interested in web development, but wasn't convinced that he needed to learn a framework because he's like 16, right? So I had him do
Mhm.
the problem in pure JavaScript, and there's an example of how I solved it. But then the Knockout version is obviously like a quarter of the size,
Of
because
course.
why reinvent that wheel? But it was exciting. I got to go to the dojo, and then I got to go straight to Costco, which was a fucking nightmare.
Oh, we have to go to Costco. Shit. Tomorrow, I think. Though
But
I like their samples sometimes,
of course you
depending
do.
on who's sampling.
It's free food, nigga.
I don't know.
But beyond today,
I like.
it's been vacation week, and I've done nothing but play Metal Gear Solid 5 and take care of the house all week. I am now like 33% complete, but it says I have done 40% of the side missions. So the reason I can play so long and have such a low completion time is that the main missions, because my general heuristic is to do all side things available before doing anything more critical path. And the side
Mhm.
things, the main missions contribute like 2% each to completion, and the side missions are like half a percent. So that number will just jump up crazy. They
But
just they just weighted
they
it
all
weird.
the side missions, if I understand and remember correctly from our last conversation on this, improve greatly the overall outcome of the game by
Kind of.
affecting what happens in it.
That's that's The Witcher. Metal Gear Solid 5, what happens is you get resources and blueprints for weapons, and you can craft. Well, yeah, I guess that's true in that it gives you more tools, because as you get resources and develop weapons, even if you're not going to use them, like if I tier up, by tiering up my LMG, one particular LMG for the assault rifle that I use, I was able to get a barrel that is a conversion to LMG rounds, which gives it a tighter shot grouping,
Hmm.
meaning that I have less horizontal and vertical spread within the reticule, more dead center.
But I also meant like
Plot
in the
wise, I
last
just make it.
episode that has not been released yet, or rather will be by the time this comes out. You mentioned that you were disrupting like supply chains and shit.
Oh,
You were sniping dudes, so they started wearing helmets.
so that's interesting, because they'll do that. That's not a function of the storyline. The enemies, the more you interact with enemies, because it's ostensibly a stealth game, I just don't really play it that way. The
Hmm.
more you interact with them, they will over time adapt to your strategies. So it's not like at this point in the campaign they start getting helmets. It's because I've had X number of encounters with them where I relied heavily on headshots from a distance.
Um.
So
Okay.
the game is dynamically responding to your playstyle, and like they started doing that before I did any campaign stuff, just because I'd done so much side stuff.
Well, yeah. So you basically confirmed what I kind of meant.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Also,
as people know,
I
being a
got
foreigner, I have a hard time expressing myself in English. Get over it,
I got
everyone.
an upgrade where there's a rocket in my bionic hand, and I shoot it off and steer it while it's in midair. So I'm flying my rocket arm in a first-person camera from my rocket hand through the air, punching dudes in the head and knocking them out.
Shut up.
Also, fucking
Wow.
what's his name? The dude from 24 is the voice actor. So when I do it,
Fucking Jack, whatever.
yeah, he just
Excuse me.
yells a rocket punch and then launches it off, and you steer it in the first person. It's pretty good.
Rocket punch.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah. That guy's a good actor.
I've been playing Hearthstone. There's some very exciting Hearthstone news.
Really, tell me about that. So naturally, I haven't had a chance to really get into the heart of stone.
Uh huh.
Um, big surprise.
So first,
What's
the
new?
first reason it's surprising is that it's related to Arena.
Okay.
So this is the first time they've done anything with Arena since before the game came out.
Wow.
Uh, they're removing cards from it, like almost 40.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they'll just be cards you can't draft. So the
Did they
problem,
release a list of that yet?
yeah. So it's interesting. There's a blog post about it, and the general gist of it is that win rates for classes are crazy out of control. Like for example, in my stats, like 40% of my opponents are mage, even though you can only pick mage 33% of the time. What that means is that every time mage is available, people pick it and they win more than average with that class. So
Well, of
mage
course.
has
I mean,
well, they got Flame Strike, they have the best hero power for Arena, but they continue to get insane cards for Arena. So like one of the cards in the new expansion that's not it's okay for constructed. It's a 7 mana, deal 5 damage, summon a random 5 cost minion. That's a common. And in Arena, getting minions on the board is the most important thing, and when you can kill your opponents and get your own at the same time in one card is crazy, and it's a common, and it's the way Arena works is you have like a 200% chance to draft a class card. So you're going to see twice as many class cards as you are neutral. And then on top of that, you see 200% more of the new expansion. So every mage deck has like 3 or 4 of these right now.
right. And
So
then
it's insane. And
mages
then,
also have the spells that help them survive till turn 7 or more. And so if
right.
at turn 7 you're popping 5 damage and get a 5 cost random minion, fuck.
And Rogue is pretty good also. Rogue is the next best. It's just a little bit behind Mage right now because their hero power is so good for Arena. You only pay 2 mana for 2 mage hero powers over 2 turns, and then you have some pretty good tempo spells, so you can get on the board early and then use spells to maintain the board while going face with minions. Paladin's always been in the middle, like in a tier by itself, and then everything else is at the bottom, just in a slightly different order every time.
Hmm.
So there's like mage and rogue tier, paladin tier, and everything else tier. So what they're doing is they're removing some good cards for mage and rogue, and then paladin, no changes, but for the other classes, they're removing bad cards.
Now, by removing, do you mean they're
Impossible.
making certain cards
You
no
don't.
longer be classic cards, or are they just making them so that only arena is where you can't use them?
Only arena. So
Okay, so it's not really going to affect
not gonna affect constructed.
anything really, if you think about it. Okay, well that's
No.
not so bad. I mean,
Well, no. It's secretly an enormous deal. So, example, mage is losing snow chugger and Snowchugger, Forgotten Torch, and the 6 mana 5/5 that Battlecry summons a 3-drop. The
wow.
Forgotten Torch is basically getting a Frostbolt and a Fireball in one card, and removal and spells are really good in Arena. And when you draft this one mage removal, you're guaranteed a second piece of removal for cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the one that summons a second minion is great, right? Because you're getting 8 mana worth of stats for 6 mana, and it's in 2 bodies, so your opponent has to trade twice to take care of it. But Snow Chugger is interesting because it's like a 2 mana 2/3, but with the water elemental effect, right?
Yeah,
But
I'm a big fan of the chugger, dude.
the reason
Definitely.
the reason they're banning it, I would say, is it's not a super powerful card by itself. But if I would My guess is if I were to take the average win rate of Mage against all classes forever, and then compare it to the win rate of Mage versus weapon classes when they have a Snow Chugger, it's probably 20% higher, if not more. Because, like, if you get a Snow Chugger on the board against a Rogue and they can't backstab it right away, and you have a Frostbolt to protect it, you just keep hitting them in the face and they never get to use their hero power. Same thing with Warriors. They don't get to use weapons, and that's how Warriors win an arena, right? So, and weapons classes should theoretically be valued against mage because mage's spells are board control spells, right? But what counters board clears is just taking a ton of face damage from a weapon over and over again. There's no way to block that without a taunt.
Right.
And so Snow Chugger was countering what should have been mage's weak matchups. Uh, the other classes they remove bad cards, which doesn't seem like a big deal until you realize that each class only has 30 commons, and say in the case of priest they're removing 7. And what
Wow.
so
That.
here's the other thing. Because of the way Hearthstone chooses the cards you get in arena, it's a big deal. Because what happens is it rolls to pick a rarity, right? So it says, "Okay, I'm going to give
Hmm.
you 3 common cards." Then for each card, it does a roll to see if it's a class card, and then after that it picks the card. So it's not like instead of getting some shitty card, I'm gonna get like a River Croc instead. I'm gonna get another class card, and by removing bad class cards, the quality of class cards went way up. So that'll actually dramatically increase the overall power of your average deck.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they also said they want to do stuff like decoupling offering percentages from rarity, which is a big problem right now. Like, for example, the arena treats Flame Strike as a common, which means you get on average 25 chances to pick it. You're
Which
not
is insane.
you're not obviously not gonna see 25 Flame Strikes in your draft, but there's 25 chances you could see one, right? Because it's a common, and that should be a rare, right? So they're gonna decouple rarity from the other stuff, which should make things a lot better. But I think this one change is a really powerful band-aid in the meantime.
I mean, it's they know what they're doing, and I used to feel like those kind of changes weren't cool, but I think you've persuaded me like countless times as to why, at the end of the day, those changes will benefit the game and why they're necessary.
See, Arena is interesting in that a tiny change like this has, because Arena is built on percentages on top of percentages on top of percentages, and then over your Hearthstone career, it's over long term, has a massive impact. What they're trying to do is they're trying to push Rogue and Mage's win rate down, and then lower the other 6 classes, and try. So if Paladin is 0, and you have things that are negative and things that are positive, they're trying to bring everything closer to 0, because if somebody isn't playing Rogue, Mage, or Paladin, you know they're either brand fucking new or they got a really bad class choice.
Yeah, and when you consider that arena costs money,
Or
effectively,
150 gold.
right? But if we assume that that's their, pay to play product, right? If someone is paying to play arena,
If somebody gets good at Arena, you never pay. I haven't paid for an Arena in a long time.
I know, but I'm just like from a business standpoint,
Yeah.
why it would be a horrible thing to not fix something if you find that like 25% of your players are paying to play this, you have I wouldn't call it a moral obligation to correct, to improve the experience, so to
It,
speak, the user experience.
I mean, it just makes business sense. And I can understand why Arena has gone so long without being updated, because the majority of players are constructed players. Arena is like a sealed limited formats in Magic, right? Where not a lot of people play them, but the people who do play them are like very diehard about it. Like you have people who only play Arena, right?
Yeah.
And those people are probably not paying because they're probably good enough at this point to get it for free, but they still provide a valuable service in providing an opponent for the paying customer to match against. But the reason it hasn't been touched is there's just been a lot of problems with Hearthstone, and they've just had a lot of stuff they wanted to do because constructed wasn't in an amazing place yet, and now that constructed has been incredible lately. Like by constructed, I mean where you actually build your deck like ladder and stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, that now that standard has come out and the expansions have come out and the meta is like really healthy right now. Now they're shifting over to arena, so I expect to see a bunch of arena work relatively soon.
What's the meta like lately?
Oh, dude, it's really diverse. So there's like 3 to 5 warrior decks that you can play. Shaman's got like 4 different decks right now. Uh, Druid's got 2 or 3 different classes because there's Beast Druid, which is new. The Yogg
Beast
Toad.
Druid. Wait,
Yeah,
that's a viable option?
well, all it took was for them to add a 1 mana 2/2 Beast, and yeah, because they already had all the stuff, they just did not have a good 1-drop Beast to curve into the turn 2 buff a Beast. And now that they have that, they're off to the races. There's Warlock. There's that weird token one that I played against you with that also has Yogg in it. And
Mm-hmm.
now Malygos Druid is back.
Damn.
Like Warlock, there's Zoo, there's Discard Warlock, and then some people are playing like Reno Lock still.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
Rogue is basically dead. People are experimenting with it, but I mean, there's a couple. There's weird Rogue decks, but there's nothing tier 1. Right? Priest has got Resurrect Priest, which is like in a game you'll get like 6, 4, 7 Blade Masters through Resurrects.
Wow.
It's fucking
That's
scary.
nuts. Yeah, that's
Uh,
scary shit.
Paladin still has Murloc and N'Zoth. I'm playing a weird custom hybrid with one of the new Karazhan cards that's been crazy good in this deck if you're smart about the change. But
So you mentioned tier one decks. Tell me, you were telling me a little bit about one of yours, and you said you just built another one that was pretty nuts.
Tier 1 deck, I've been playing Aggro Shaman. Aggro Shaman's been around for a long time, but I haven't played it because I tend to favor weird, off the beaten path control decks or combo decks. So like I would wind up playing tier 3 or decks that didn't even make a tier list, like Echo's Mage, or that weird Dreadsteed's control deck I had, or Shadow Form Priest, right? Stuff that is not necessarily the best deck in the planet, but decks that I think are good. I want to be when I play, I want to win and I want to be competitive, but I insist on winning the way I want to win, not
Yeah, you're
whatever way
very
is the most
particular
efficient.
about that, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why
I mean, it makes sense, right? That's all about
that's why
playing
it's
games.
that's
Like,
why it's fun to play Hearthstone with me because you don't see the same shit you see on the ladder. You see weird shit that you're not prepared for ever.
yeah, I would say it almost makes me a better player or helps me see the different.
I played with a friend today, and he told me straight up, he was like, I only play with you when my desire to see something cool is greater than my desire to not be furious, because a lot of the decks I also play are incredibly slow and aggravating.
Oh, dude, yeah, and you win all the time, and so that does not help at all.
But so
I can imagine for
but
somebody
so
that.
like I got really into Face Hunter, but unfortunately I got really into Face Hunter the week before they killed Face Hunter by like nerfing leper gnomes, knife jugglers, mad scientist went away. So I discovered and fell in love with Face Hunter a week before Face Hunter disappeared forever.
Oh, dude, I loved some Face Hunter. I still do. The deck I have is it's definitely not the same Face
Uh,
Hunter.
with some of the Karazhan cards, it's basically the same now,
Nice.
but except you actually have an end game because now you have Call of the Wild and N'Zoth.
Oh my god, dude. Call it a while.
Call of the
I
Wild is one
remember
of
the
the most
last time we
busted.
played, I top decked the shit out of that card twice in a row.
It's
And that's,
one of the most busted cards that has ever been printed.
dude, but I don't think they'll change it though.
No, well here's the thing: if you want Hunter to not be an aggressive face deck, you need to have good high-end cards. But the problem with that in Hunter is that your early game cards are so incredibly good. In order to make me make a deck that's not just that, the ones at the top have to be that much better. And
Yeah, exactly.
that's why Call of the Wild. If Call of the Wild didn't exist, I don't think N'Zoth would go in that deck, and High Main would be the highest rated card in there, maybe a Leroy, like always.
But would that even be a playable deck if that was the case?
Probably. You would probably run a few more direct damage spells and then maybe Yogg. Right? Like, because, you lose Scientist and, you lose, which means that secrets are less good. So I would probably only run Eaglehorn Bows, maybe one Explosive Trap if Zoo was popular, and then I would run Flame Jugglers, Huge Toads, because they do 1 extra damage when they die, and Fiery Bats in the places of the secrets and stuff like that.
It
And
it still wouldn't be nowhere near as fun though.
and I might play I might play Argent Commanders, even though no, those are too slow because those are 6 mana for 2 charges. But they do have Divine Shield. I mean, it might be fine, honestly. You might just stick in way more aggressive minions, maybe some trackings, because you're going to run way more low-cost cards because your deck is going to be fatter because you're not thinning it with secrets. I think it would work, it would just be way less good. So instead of Blizzard trying to letting players latch on to subpar aggro decks, they gave it a really good top-end card and pushed mid-range, which has
And that
been really
makes sense. I mean, it makes for longer games. People are engaged more. It's a lot more fun when you're almost dying and then you pull 2 Call It a Wilds in a row.
Oh man, dude, people get really mad when you win with aggro shaman because it's been around for a while. One dude was really mad when I was 3 damage off lethal. I had a spell in my hand and I used my hero power and I got the spell power totem, so 25% chance. And then that turn I had top decked Sir Finley, which is a 1 out of 18 chance. And then I play Sir Finley and I get the 33% chance to get the hunter hero power, and combined, it was a 1 in 27 chance to roll a 0.27% chance to roll through 3 pieces of RNG to find 3 extra damage and win the game. He was very mad.
Dude, yeah, I see how he might be. That must have been fun though. Fuck.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was into it. But so the deck I've been playing, you remember that N'Zoth Paladin with Cairn, Sylvanas, and Tyrion, and then it was shit like double Doomsayers, double Wild Pyro and Equality?
Hmm.
And then you remember Murloc Paladin, where I just OTK'd you?
Fuck off. Dude,
Well,
that
no.
that deck was so much fun though.
Okay, now wait for it. This deck is both of those put together.
No. How?
It's so Murloc Paladin had a lot of heals. N'Zoth Paladin had a lot of heals, so those cards are the same. And then Murloc Paladin had a lot of draw because you were a combo deck, so it had more removal and more draw. And a bunch of that has just been replaced with solid mid to end game threats from like Cairn, Sylvanas, and Tyrion. And then there's a new Karazhan card, which is a 7. It's either 4/6 or 5/6 taunt. I can't remember which. But what it
Hmm.
does is it Battlecry draws from your deck 1 random Murloc, Beast, and Dragon.
One
So
random Murloc, Beast, and Wow.
so I already got Murlocs, right? So that's good for winning as a winning with anything can happen because it adds one of the parts of my win condition to my hand. Uh, So for beasts, I added 1 Stampeding Kodo, which is the 5/3/5 Battlecry, destroy a minion with 2 or less. And then for dragon, I took out Cairn, who was the 6/4/5 Death Rattle, summon another 4/5, and I added in Chillmaw, who is a 7/6/6 taunt dragon, but he also has a Death Rattle, so he comes back with N'Zoth. The Death
Wow.
Rattle doesn't happen because the Death Rattle is if you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage to all minions. But what's happening now is I tended to have a problem, which is why you could win with Hunter a lot versus N'Zoth Paladin or anything, is that mid-range decks are hard. Aggro decks are easy because I can use Wild Pyromancers and my dudes, right? Control decks are easy because I have so much healing, but you always lost to mid-range decks because there is only so much removal in your deck, and the minions mid-range decks play are too big for your dudes, right?
Hmm.
But this change has solved a lot of that because I'm playing a 7 mana, I think it's a 5/6 taunt Let me look him up really quick. The Curator, because I'm still running Sylvanas and stuff. Uh, he's a 4/6 taunt, which is kind of big, right? Like that would block a Yeti and
Right.
still live. But then he also he helps with aggro. If I, because I can live a while against aggro, but against aggro he also draws the Kodo, which is removal. So he draws me removal. He draws me a piece of my win condition, and then against mid range, Chill Maw is another fat taunt. So against mid range, I'm adding 2 taunts to my deck, and it also makes it easier to win with Anyfin or find N'Zoth because he's pulling 3 more cards out of my deck.
Yeah, that sounds fucking insane, dude.
It's it's fucking crazy. So the one thing that's bad about this change is N'Zoth Paladin could be a fatigue deck. Now it can't, because the deck is already running 2 Solemn Vigils. Solemn Vigil's a 5 mana spell that says draw 2 cards. It costs 1 less for each minion that died this turn. So what I do is I
Mm-hmm.
combo it with Doomsayer or Wild Pyro into Quality. For 0 mana, I draw 2 cards. So I have 2 of those. And then the Curator draws 3 more, so I'm drawing like 7 cards. So this can't go to fatigue anymore, because I'll like run out of cards when my opponent still has like 9 or 10 left in their deck.
So you can't afford to
But here's what's
wait too
cool
long.
about that Paladin loses really hard to combo decks like OTK Worgen, because it traditionally it can't win fast enough because it's a slow combo deck without a lot of cycle, but it can't go over 30 health either because it's not warrior, so I just get one-shotted by combo decks. But the Curator has sped the deck up a lot, so I can actually race other combo decks. So I trade off a little bit of my viability against control in terms of going to fatigue for better matchups in all of my weak matchups. It's been really excellent. And it's not a change I've seen anyone else talk about, but it's been winning a lot. I did try an Azure Drake instead of Chillmaw, but I wanted another fat taunt, and Azure Drake was just way too much card draw. I was like fatiguing myself all the time and dying that way.
Oh, that's not good.
But
It's not good at all. Yeah.
Karazhan is interesting because it really only created 1 or 2 new deck archetypes, and like discard lock is kind of like a more aggressive Zoo. It'd be like Zoo. Zoo is consistent, right? So it'd be like removing some of the consistency from Zoo, but adding the text flip a coin, if heads you automatically win the game, because if the discards go your way even a little bit, you just fucking stomp by like turn 4 or 5. But otherwise you're playing a worse Zoo deck where you throw away a bunch of cards you might need.
Hmm.
And then Beast Druid. So you have those 2 things, but the rest of it has been like tweaks. And so it's been cool because I like to build decks probably more than I like to play actually. So it's been a fun expansion for me because there's a lot of like weird shit in there.
Nice. We'll see. Everyone by now should know how great I do at playing video games. So we'll see. I'll try to get around to playing it though.
So I heard you played video games. I haven't played anything besides Hearthstone and Metal Gear Solid 5. Oh, I did play more Deus Ex Go. I continue to really love that game. I play it every night in bed until I get stumped and I flip over and play Solitaire or Final Fantasy Tactics. But I'm on like puzzle 47. It's really good. It's getting very difficult.
Wait, they have Final Fantasy Tactics on
Yeah.
on phones?
Oh,
No.
even better. It's the PSP remake with the way better translation.
Oh wow.
So it's got the anime cutscenes, it's got some rebalancing, new classes. They completely retranslated the game, and it's written in like Elizabethan English also. So it's really good.
So it's time to play it, is what you're telling me.
Oh yeah, and it's like $15, but I mean,
I'm a big fan of the game. That one.
$15 seems like a lot for a phone game, but it's not a lot when you consider that Final Fantasy Tactics you could probably play for like 30, 40 hours.
Um, you said how much was it again?
15.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, not for a game that not for Final Fantasy Tactics. Like that game you can play basically forever if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I remember playing the ROM twice, dude. Because of course I'm not one to buy it on the what are those things called back then? The Game Boy something or others Advance.
Oh, no, 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 that's a different one. That's
Oh,
Final
what?
Fantasy Tactics Advance.
And this one is just regular Tactics.
Yeah, it was a PS. It's way better, by the way. Like, way better.
Oh well, then even better if it's way better.
I mean, I'm having a hard time coming up with a good comparison for a game you played, but Final Fantasy Tactics Advance has what you like about tactics, but way more of it. Like, way better strategy, class balance, all that good shit. Not to
Okay.
mention, you can actually use good weapons because skills aren't tied to weapons like they are in Tactics Advance.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, it was fine, but it's a
Also,
little limiting.
the story is actually good, and the game actually gets very challenging, unlike Tactics Advance, which you roll over until like some of the very last side missions.
Yeah, because the Tactics Advance, that game is just
Oh, also there
from
aren't
a
any.
story
Also, there
standpoint.
aren't any judges.
Okay, so tell me a little more then about that. How is so there's nobody to like prevent illegal moves, or is that no longer a mechanic that
No, that's just not a mechanic. You just go in and you do whatever you want. There are way more classes. You can equip skills from two different classes at once. Uh,
Oh, nice. Okay.
there are way more. So once you get to a point, you realize that you can completely break the game. So, for example, there's a character called a calculator. I think they're called like an arithmagician in the
Mhm.
retranslation, and they have rules. They pick a rule, and they pick an ability. So a rule might be they're basically little math equations with variables in them. So it might be x divided by 5, where x is a level. And so for every character whose level is divisible by 5, you could do something like cast death, sleep, or you could cast haste if all of your party members are of that level.
Okay.
And so you can just completely break the game by casting haste on your entire party in a single move. If your
Wow.
party's of the right level, or they have an even number of hit points, or whatever. And that's just one example, right? Like you can have dragoons who can like teleport 15 tiles before using jump, which can then let them move another 20 tiles, another like 8 tiles, so you can hit anything within like a 23 tile radius.
Wow.
So you can completely bust the game if you want to. Honestly, there was only one broken combination in Tactics Advance, and it was a Gunner Assassin, where you could like insta kill dudes from 15 tiles away. But that had a low percentage chance and took forever to get. So Final Fantasy Tactics, the campaign is way more difficult. The story is actually legit good. There's a lot of like Catholic Church stuff, a lot of politicking, a lot to do with mercenaries. It's very good. I recommend. You'll like it.
Yeah, I think so. I think from the sound of it, um,
Now all you need is an Android phone. That way you can play Hearthstone and this game.
I'll get around to that, dude.
I know. I'm just letting you know.
One of these days.
I
But
start.
yeah.
But yeah, I start work on the 19th. I'm gonna spend next week learning Ember.js, and daycare is so expensive. We got daycare for the kid this week. It's like $1,200 a month.
Fuck. Dude,
So
that's a lot of money.
next week, 3 days, we're gonna drop Audrey off in daycare, so she gets what's the word I'm looking for? Not accommodated, accustomed.
Yeah,
She gets
acclimated to the new environment.
yeah, she gets acclimated to it before I have to start working. But what that means is I'll be spending 3 days out of my week just hanging out in fucking Redmond.
So you're gonna be there all day.
Uh huh. So
Damn.
So I'll have to find like a Starbucks, but I'll spend the next week learning Ember. Just that way I can be like productive on day one. Once I get my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
once I get they don't
They use Amber.
they use Ember JS.
It's Amber, dude.
Ember.
I know.
But it's
Um,
like it looks I've looked at it a little bit. It looks like Angular 2 and it uses handlebars for templating.
so you should be.
I'm not sure about the life cycle stuff, but syntactically speaking, it looks like Angular 2. Then the rest of their stack is C sharp, and they use Subversion, but they'll be migrated to Git by the time I get there, so I don't have to worry about learning their weird version control. So it's C sharp, which I know, Git, which I know, and then Ember.js, which is part a thing I know, and then the other part looks like a thing I know. So I should be pretty good. I'll probably have like a day or two to get my dev environment set up, like set up with Gulp and stuff like that. They don't use a preprocessor, but they are using Bootstrap, which means it's written in Sass, so I can just use Sass.
Yeah. Did they have like a training time, or like are they gonna give you an easy project to?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. They're small enough that they don't even have a DevOps guy, so I have a couple of days just to get my environment configured.
Damn.
What it'll probably be is if they do if they do sort of agile stuff, what it'll probably be is here's a project that doesn't need to ship till next sprint, but we're going to give it to you now.
Yeah, something to that effect. I think you'll do fine.
I'll do fine. I'm not worried about it.
I think the only thing that's gonna kill you is the Redmond commute and having to hang out there for the next few days.
Well, for now, my wife's restaurant opening got pushed back a bit till about November. So for 2 months, I'll get driven there and then driven home because my wife works. Basically, my job, my baby's daycare, and my wife's job form a triangle where all points are 15 minutes apart.
Hmm.
So it's not bad.
Do you think you'll ever move out to Redmond?
Fuck no. The
Nice.
problem with Redmond is that you can't get it. It's very hard to get around with a car because the buses only go up and down the two main drags.
Yeah, their buses over there kind of suck nuts.
Yeah, it's a 20-minute walk from my bus stop to work, not counting the fact that I'd have to drop Audrey off. But still, only 20-minute walk from her daycare to here. And then after a while, Audrey will be going when Kat goes to the Central District for her restaurant. There'll be there's a kindercare downtown, and so Kat will take care of that, and I just get to bus to Redmond and have an hour and 15-minute commute each way entirely to myself to play phone games, podcast, read manga. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be the first time I've truly had to myself, just completely alone without having to worry about anything else in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't had
Like 3 years, long time.
yeah, no, I've not had alone time. I mean, I guess Saturdays, but I know what you mean. It's different.
Now imagine your Saturday, but well, you also have to watch a baby.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, it's not the same
So
for
I heard
sure.
you played video games. Tell me about them. I got nothing else going on.
So I played one game,
Uh huh. You played more than
Mark
one
of the
game.
Ninja.
Uh huh. Tell me about it.
It's so excellent. So the game is essentially a ninja stealth game where
What's the perspective?
you what do you mean?
It's 2D side scrolling.
Oh, yeah. So it's a 2D side-scrolling game where you have to rely on environmental elements to hide from enemies as you walk around the map, and essentially meet objectives.
So here's what I think is so good about that game and why I got it for you and why I think it's the best one. Is hold on a second. Is that it's unlike other stealth games, it's not like Metal Gear Solid where you have a radar. You don't really have any UI. It's all of the stealth information is conveyed visually.
Right.
And that's what's good about it. It like you don't have it's just it gets out of the way, looks good, it looks like good graphically and animates well because that studio Clay is a bunch of traditional animators.
Oh,
So
that makes sense.
they
But it's a beautifully made game.
they made Shank before that, Shank 2, which is a bad game, and they made Invisible Ink, which I want to play, which is like a it'd be like if you mixed a stealth game with a roguelike. It's a procedurally generated turn-based stealth game, which I really want to play.
Yeah, you're a big fan of turn-based.
I am. Be-
Um,
I like systems where they have clearly defined rules that allow me to find exploits or how to optimize the rule set.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I like this game though. It's
Have you tried Ghost in it yet?
not yet. So I have to. I'm on the last level, which I have to find the boss and beat him. And then when I do that, I'm probably gonna do one more run just to go undetected and do the basic objectives, and then
Are you gonna check out the commentary?
yeah.
Did you listen to that podcast I sent you about it?
Uh,
It was the design. It's a podcast where the lead designer of both Civilization 4 and which is the best Civilization game, and now he did a new game, Off-World Trading Company, interviews other game devs, and he interviewed the lead designer and head of the studio for this game about this game. So it's worth checking out when you're done. For everyone else, it's called Designer Notes.
yeah, we'll check that out for sure.
What else you
See
play?
what they have to say. Um, but yeah, other than that, I did do a run of We Happy Few,
Uh-huh. How was
and
that?
I mean mechanically, it's a first-person 3D game,
It's an average.
survival.
It's an average survival game, right?
Uh, yeah, it's not that spectacular. What I liked about it is just the setting and the premise,
Yeah,
where
if Brain Candy was a horror movie.
yeah, you basically to live in society, you have to pop these red pills and your joy,
Uh-huh.
as they refer to it, and basically, I think the story, might be pretty good when they actually finalize everything. But basically, you're in the game, and one of the first levels, you're doing this. It's like a pinata thing that you're popping, and so you come in, everyone's celebrating. You bust the pinata, and they all start eating it. And then the effects of your joy pills fade out, and it turns out they're eating rats.
Uh-huh.
Which is kind of disgusting. And then, yeah, they you like
You got to get that
assault a guard or something.
gotta-
It's just say what?
I was just going to say you got to get that lean protein.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I mean, it reminded me a little bit. Do you remember Snowpiercer, that movie, when they found out that the protein bars they were eating were cockroaches?
What a good fucking movie. Who cares? Realistically speaking, if we want to be able to survive and eat the same proportion of protein we do, we're going to need to transition to insect protein anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean that's we could have that conversation on this podcast, but yeah, the way we're
Well,
living today, we ain't gonna last.
there's not a conversation about it. It's either we eat less protein or transition to insect protein because at the rate of population growth, we don't have space for cows.
Yeah, basically, cows are killing us slowly.
You know what's the most depressing thing about that? Is that that means that we won't have space because more people will have to live in the Midwest.
I mean, yeah,
Those poor fuckers. I
dude,
mean,
there are some days I don't mind. I don't mind that idea of living out there somewhere.
oh my god.
But
You want to live in like
but
Ohio? Because that's what I'm talking about.
oh no. So when you say Midwest, I'm thinking like Missouri.
No. No,
Uh
I'm talking about the flyovers.
oh, the even worse ones. Yeah, no, I
Like
wouldn't, dude. I
people
would
are
just
gonna.
fucking
We're not gonna be able to have cows because Iowa will be full. those poor people.
Dude, no, I'm moving to Canada. I got family out there.
The reason that The Long Dark was so hype, which is probably why you bought it, because you heard a lot about it, was
No, not the Long Dark. We Happy Few. Come on.
sorry, yeah, no, I was thinking about a better game.
No,
Is
I know. I was just gonna say, do not confuse a better game with a worse game.
is because the opening, the stuff you were talking about that sounds cool, was the E3 demo, and nobody knew that the game was actually an average survival game. So what's happening is that there's procedurally generated survival with some fixed story content along the way. So at E3 they saw the linear story narrative content, but then surprise, the rest of this game is just this average thing that's super popular.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just the concept of like everyone wearing the masks, and the premise of it's like the dystopian, you know.
Yeah, it's if brain candy was a dystopia. Have you ever seen brain candy?
No.
They invent a drug that makes people happy.
And then everyone's forced to take it.
No, that's why I said if it was dystopian brain candy. Brain Candy is a very funny comedy musical by John Hughes. Not
Oh,
John
nice.
not John Hughes, John Waters.
Mm.
Very different.
Yeah, yeah, those two are a little different. Probably important to make the distinction.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my judgment, I'm probably better off playing something else
Yeah.
for the moment.
It's not Ark,
Um,
that's for sure.
yeah,
That game's
definitely.
on fire right now.
Which one?
Ark.
Oh, dude, I want to play that, but like,
It's on fire right now. They released paid DLC for the game that's not done yet, and it makes you super overpowered compared to everyone else who didn't buy the $30 thing because you get like a fire breathing like dragon thing.
oh, really?
Yeah, so that game is both like literally on fire in terms of you getting burnt to a crisp, and then figuratively on fire because people are throwing a huge shit fit over it.
That's too funny. I got it in one of the alphas for really cheap. Um, but there back then there were some problems with it where so if you started a LAN, whatever,
Uh huh.
right? You play for a while, save, you go back in, all the items would be missing and shit. And so I said, fuck that. And I didn't at the time have money for a server or anything like that, so never got into it. But
Did you play anything else?
dude, Minecraft. I've been playing a bunch of Minecraft.
I already put that down. I finished one mega project, and that was enough for me.
Yeah, so the thing with Minecraft for me is that I never actually played it. I would always like, well, okay, so I would do the mining, right? Your intro stuff, and then um, like I never even built a house in it or anything. I would always just have like a little dirt hovel.
Uh huh.
But in principle, that's basically all a house is, just with different blocks. I mean,
Oh, I thought you were talking about a real house, and I would be very interested in visiting your apartment all of a sudden.
oh, come on now, come on now. Could you imagine if you try to build like a real life version of a Minecraft dirt house?
Can you imagine if fire was aggressive in the real world as it was in Minecraft?
Oh my god. Well, that would solve a lot of problems really
Yeah.
quickly.
Like, we would be able to evacuate all of the poor people off of third.
Oh.
I mean, we got them pinned, right? We got rich people on second, rich people on fourth. There's nowhere left for them to hide.
Mm.
Move on down to Soto, fuckers. I'm just talking shit on poor people for no reason.
Dude, so okay, conspiracy time. Someone at my girlfriend's job told her that in California they're giving free bus tickets to the homeless to come up to Seattle.
That's the plot point of a South Park episode, except in reverse order.
Oh, that's
It
really
wasn't
funny.
from Seattle. It was from South Park to California.
That's really funny. Though that doesn't, I mean,
No, come on. I mean, fuck.
That part would never happen.
Oh.
Though I did meet a homeless guy in Maine that his whole thing during the summer months in Maine, he would be like saving up bottles and shit. Um, and then he would go to like Florida for the winter.
Uh-huh.
But I guess it's tough out there for the homeless.
Well, no shit, because it's a big car city, and it's tourists,
Yeah, too many fucking people.
and the people who aren't tourists are old. Like Orlando is where the elderly go to die.
Yeah, seriously, dude. Fuck Florida.
It's a fucking
Though
nightmare.
I did want to go alligator hunting.
Okay. I mean, that's an achievable life dream. You can do that. That's like only slightly harder than my current life dreams, which I think right now the number one thing on my life dream list is be near a Euro column.
What is a Euro column?
You go to like a Euro place and they have the giant rotating pillar of meat. I want
Oh,
to be back there and I want to cut a piece off. Like
oh, dude, yeah,
that's
that's really
basically
nice.
my life dream, and it's very achievable. I could probably do that next time I go for Euros.
Dude, I bet you if you went to a spot that had it, uh, downtown somewhere,
Oh,
and
also, I want a nice glass orb for no reason other than I like orbs. Like
dude, orbs are pretty cool.
we got some achievable life dreams up in here.
Dude, yeah, yeah. White Noise Boys, the podcast. Welcome to the world of achievable dreams.
Not even not go to Europe, get an orb, and be near a Euro column.
Whew, that's yeah. Well, you know,
And maybe see my doctor and have this ingrown taken care of.
what, you have an ingrown hair you need a doctor for?
Now it's a nail. Hair is no problem.
Oh, dude, you have an ingrown nail? You should probably get that checked out.
No, it's fine. I'm not gonna worry about it.
Well, I'm glad you don't worry about it.
I don't worry about shit, son.
Yeah. You're employed now. You're gainfully employed in an industry you want to be
I
employed
mean,
in.
I haven't started working and I haven't made any money, so I'm neither gainful nor employed right now. But
I mean, dude,
I
they
haven't-
offered you a job.
I haven't.
You said yes.
I haven't signed the contract yet. I'm technically not employed.
What? So on the first day you'll take care of all that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I would have started Monday, but I needed a week to take care of daycare, which got taken care of on Friday. And then the founder or the dude who owns the joint is off next week, so I get an extra week to just study up on Ember and then be very productive when I get there.
yeah, no, so you're setting yourself up for some success.
I mean,
Good
I do
thing.
just want to play Metal Gear Solid 5 all next week, but I should make sure I keep my job that I just get.
Well, I mean, here's how I see all that happening, right?
When am I gonna? Thank God my wife's gonna work on the weekends, so she can have 2 days off during the week to take care of Audrey. But that means I might still be able to play Metal Gear Solid 5 occasionally.
Well, I mean, hold on. So what do I mean? I mean that for this coming week, you'll be in Redmond with your child
For 3 days.
studying, and if all goes well and you don't fuck off during that time, you should then be able to
Yeah.
readily play games as soon as you get home.
You know what the worst part is that I won't be able to fuck off because I'm running Linux, which means I can't even play Hearthstone on my fucking laptop. So I guess I don't really have anything to do other than to work.
I mean, you have your phone. You could get into some fuck offery that way, but
But I need it to last. I need it to
Right.
last.
So you
I
can't
can
burn
listen to
your battery.
podcasts. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get crazy battery. So I rooted my phone. Did I tell you about that?
yeah,
Getting like fucking like 18 hours of battery life.
insane, dude.
I mean, Hearthstone chews through it way faster, but I would still get probably more.
Well, yeah, Hearthstone fucking kills battery.
Well, not just that, but like screen also active. So I still have this hilarious sound bug on the mobile versions where sounds play like a tenth of a second every second. So it's like, hello, but it's this awful stuttery nightmare. It's hilarious. I have it muted right now, but when I turn it on, it's very funny.
That's really funny.
And
Wow.
that's after I had to reinstall it after rooting my phone. So it's like a bug with my specific model and the current way the app is.
Wow. Nice.
Oh shit! An October is still a bottle.
Was it empty?
Yeah, it's because I already had two of them while we've been recording this podcast.
Oh, nice. I ate my fish and whatever.
Well, I'm glad you told me that because it's getting really warm in here, so I really enjoyed that cool story.
No, I'm glad. I'm glad.
Saved me the trouble of going putting on more deodorant because it's getting hot in here.
In case our listeners don't know, I'm a big fan of sharing cool stories with Chris.
White noise boys, you serious for cool stories, bro.
um, that's the cover of the episode that I haven't released yet.
What
Cool story, bro.
is it?
Yeah, and it's just a mug that says "Cool Story, Bro."
Didn't
on
I
it.
cool story bro you last time? Like basically every time we talk, I do that.
Oh, dude. Well, cause every podcast I have a cool story, bro.
I mean, if cool is a euphemism for inane and something nobody besides you cares about, it'd be like if I spent 15 minutes telling you about my dream. It's like the
Y-
least exciting thing imaginable.
You could. People
I
do it all the time.
idiots do that. It's telling people about your dreams. All of these things are equally terrible. Telling people about your D&D campaign, telling people about your dreams, and showing people who weren't on your vacation photos. They are they are all equally terrible. What you had for lunch is almost in that bracket.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was really good.
I will say D&D campaign is the worst because it's your dreams, except they're not even dreams. It's made up shit because you're a fucking nerd. Also, I'm judging all D&D players as someone who used to DM a lot. I like to DM because it allows me to be hostile towards multiple other people at once.
Yeah, and it's invited. Like
Dude, oh man. I came
they
up with
have to deal with it.
I came up with a new cool thing. My friend is running a Call of Cthulhu campaign, which would be like if D&D was like H.P. Lovecraft based and was all about like managing your sanity so your character didn't kill himself and shit. So it's all about like paranoia and like extraterrestrial shit and like weird shit you can't look at or it drives you crazy. So I came up with a thing that turned out to work out really well. His players found an artifact and one of them goes to pick it up and what I told him to do and this is what he did. He said, "What hand do you pick it up with?" And then he says, "I don't know my left." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And he says, "Yeah." And then he writes it down and nothing ever comes of it, but it makes him paranoid as shit. I told him to do it just to fuck with him. I say, "What hand did you pick it up with?" Just to freak him the fuck out.
Wow.
Also, Mark and I have still been playing Resident Evil 6, by the way.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, no lie. How many hours do I have to play it? I have a lot of hours in Resident Evil 6. It is depressing. Resident Evil 6, by the time we're done, will make my top 10 most played games in terms of hours on Steam.
Oh, is there such a list? Does Steam give you that ranking list?
You can go to like I think it's like steamdb.com.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where is God, I have so many games. Sort by installed. Resident Evil 6. I have 48 hours.
Wow.
We're
That's
done.
nuts.
We're just wrapping it up. We're basically on the highest difficulty playthrough, which is actually like really good, intense, and forces you to engage with all the mechanics. Like I'm doing shit like popping a dude with a quick shot, which is like a shot you don't aim. It costs you stamina, but also like staggers enemies. So like I'll quick shot one guy, pop a few rounds into another guy, and then I'll do like the weird dive backwards, and then another enemy will like throw an axe at me, and I have to like roll on the ground to the left really quick. It's really intense. The control scheme is like really terrible because they try to let you do too much with too few buttons. But
Oh,
when
that's not good.
no, there's just too many things you can do that you normally don't need to do. But on the highest difficulty, they provide a lot of situations that allow you to fully engage with everything, and then it almost makes sense why all this shit is in here.
Okay,
It's been awesome.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I
It's still not a good game, but we like it a lot now.
yeah,
It might just be like Stockholm Syndrome after playing literally two 24-hour days worth of this game.
yeah, seriously. That's exactly 48 hours.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Oh wait, I misread it. It's 49.
fuck.
There's probably also like 10 more hours of campaign.
Wow, nice. That's kind of cool. So have you finished Stranger Things? Going back to our DD
Spoilers,
story.
spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Basically, for the rest of this podcast, we are going to talk about Stranger Things. So let's get Alexander do your plugs now. So,
Yeah, so my name is Alexander. I'm
is it?
28. Wait,
Holy,
this is
holy
not the
shit!
age, sex, location part, is it? No, no, that was something else.
Female,
Uh
female, 19, California.
this has been the White Noise Boys. Lord Petrie the Butter Sizzle. Check me out on the Madbox channel on YouTube. Um, new shit coming out at some point in time. Stay tuned for that. Subscribe and turn notifications on. Chris.
No, I'm good. But
Uh, yeah, you can't really find me on Twitter because newsflash, I don't have a fucking phone. God damn it.
you can't follow me on Twitter because I don't give a shit about Twitter anymore. I haven't logged into Twitter for like a month, and guess what? Nothing changed at all.
What?
Twitter doesn't matter.
Your
Surprise.
life is no longer suddenly empty.
I mean, my life is my life is still empty. I'm just distracting myself from it less and being more depressed more often.
Oh well, hey, as long as you have fun doing it.
I mean, don't
Pretty
worry.
soon the websites will be completed and you will be able to find us on the madboxworld.com.
Yeah. How's that going?
I haven't done shit for it yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's going pretty. Haven't started it out. Not haven't started, but in the meantime, you can subscribe to Magmar Sucks on iTunes, Google Play, wherever you get your fine podcasts. Rate and review the show, by the way. Let's other people find it. It's quality content. Check it out.
It's really amazing. If you
And now,
want previews with no strings attached, check it out on our channel. But really do
I mean,
subscribe
it's
and
not
give
really
us
a
a rating.
preview because it's the full episode.
Well, I know, but what I meant by that is like check out one or two of the random ones and then subscribe for regular updates.
Okay. Well, whatever. So yeah, Stranger Things. Let's you should insert some hilarious sound effect here. But
Okay.
anyway, not really, but whatever. So you watched all of Stranger Things. What'd you think?
Um, it was really interesting. I liked their references to the MK trials.
MK Ultra, not MK Trials.
Whatever.
Okay,
Um,
that was a real thing that happened.
yeah, no, I know. Um, I just thought like the demagogue and whatever, the monster.
Uh huh.
Like, I guess I don't know why that was the monster. Is that a real DD character?
No, that's just what they called it because they didn't know what it was.
So I mean, what was it? Was it
It's just a thing. It was a thing from another dimension.
it was a dimensional. It's not something that she necessarily conjured in her own head.
Right.
Okay,
So
so it was about opening up
so
alternate dimensions.
the monster made the gate. The monster just wasn't aware of us and our dimension before she made contact. And at that point, when she made contact, she was unable to break contact long enough that the monster located our dimension, opened the gate in the bottom of the place. We know the monster can open the gate because there was also one in the forest. They did it in her house.
Yeah, they were just opening up tearing the veil everywhere.
Yeah.
So the ending was really, really telling.
Is it? In what way?
So basically, the kid can just pop open into that dimension whenever.
No.
So then when he fucking ghosted into it in his bathroom, how was he doing that?
So that we're not sure about. It could be that what you said is true. I thought you were talking about 11, not
Oh, no.
not
Sorry, yeah.
Mike or whatever. Will, Will, Will Byers. There we go.
Yeah.
He might be like a transient being now. It could also just be like a flashback. Like I'm pretty sure that kid has some serious PTSD.
Yeah, so he was just having really, really realistic flashbacks.
It could be. I mean, all flashbacks are realistic because you're flashing back to a thing that happened.
I mean, sure, I've never had a flashback, so I guess I don't know, but
Um, what else about the ending? Uh,
there was that creature that he spat out in his sink.
that could be hallucination.
True. It could also mean that there's going to be
There is going to be
like a
season 2.
nest.
They already renewed it.
Yeah, but they didn't really talk about much.
Well, of course they didn't, because why would they talk about it before it comes out? Because the whole thing's going to come out in one day.
Yeah.
It would be weird to talk about that
Wait, when is it coming out?
whenever. Probably like 2017.
Oh yeah, next year.
Marker.
Sure.
What? I don't know. Do you need it?
Dude, we can end this now. I kind of have to go shit.
She just needs to get her phone. We're almost done. Mark
Yeah.
it down again.
Yep.
So I guess the only other thing that you probably have a question about with the ending is 11. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was interesting, like that she had the powers and such.
Well,
My question would be, how is LSD a contributor to that?
I mean, it's not. The LSD on her mother was an excuse to take a child, so they had a human being who didn't have a birth record that they could do whatever they wanted to. Because as far as the government is concerned, 11 doesn't exist because there's no official documentation on her. The LSD was a way to manipulate her mother into such a way that other people would believe that she was making the story up.
Sure, but then what did they do to her to induce
Science.
the site? Right, but they don't really go into the science.
Well, no shit, because it's fucking like sci-fi. It's not like real science.
Right.
If
I
they
mean,
had
it could have been LSD induced.
No, I mean that's so unrealistic. I mean,
Well, I don't know. I
Ev-
listened to a documentary with this dude that said um, that after enough LSD, you can reprogram yourself.
that's not true.
I mean,
That's definitely not
dude,
true.
you won't catch me trying to test it.
Also, you're gonna take the word for a guy who from the word about science as gospel from a man who does a lot of LSD.
Oh no, I'm not taking it as gospel, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? I don't believe shit. This is just something I listen to.
Yeah.
And I listened to Joe Rogan, where he did the flotation tanks, and if you do it for like upwards of 2 to 3 hours, your brain gets so confused it starts to releasing, um, confusing the chemicals or whatever. Again, I don't fucking know.
No,
Doesn't even matter.
that's true. It's sensory deprivation. Your body is used to a continuous stream of information from multiple different vectors, and then suddenly you're completely cutting it off.
Yeah, and so it just, I mean, is it possible? Who the fuck knows? But it was very interesting, and I'm psyched for season 2.
But yeah, I'm excited about that. Where I stand is right now, uh, 11 doesn't really exist because what happened is she used psychokinesis, which is the power to manipulate matter with your mind, to basically tear her and the monster apart at a subatomic level. Because
Right.
her and the monster have a telepathic link, which is how the monster can constantly find our dimension. So they both had to go. And right now, I'm not convinced that 11 still exists, and the chief is just leaving food in the hopes.
It could be, but I mean, it could also be because things behave differently on a subatomic level, so they could spin that into
Sure, and here's the thing: it's a sci-fi horror show. They can do whatever they want. But
right.
just
I mean,
taking
yeah,
season one as it stands, that's how I would interpret it. If I did not know that season two was going to exist.
yeah. No, and that's a logical. That makes sense. But we'll see what happens. Um,
Did you like it?
I did. The only part I didn't like is the last episode felt a little rushed, and the kid that was gone the entire season is a very fucking bad actor.
Well, that was always gonna. So here's the thing: it's like any series that's built upon constantly escalating drama that is leading to a conclusion. The conclusion will never be satisfactory. It's kind of like how I know the end of Monster is gonna be bad because what are you gonna do? Same thing with like Lost, right? That kind of
I
thing
mean, right,
that kind of thing can never have a payoff that's satisfactory compared to your expectations.
right, and the investment in that show with
It
Lost. I mean, that's like one
yeah.
of my friends hated the ending, but he power watched the entire like 15 seasons in like 2-3 weeks
Well, it's because it's only 7 seasons, so it was twice as easy as he made it sound.
or whatever. Is it only 7?
7, I think.
Dude, I remember I like started watching it and then I faded out and like I would stop by to see what the kid was doing and he'd be like next season over. So
Well, if that's all we got, that's the end of that.
that is the end of that. It
All
was a
right.
fun show.
Till next time. Later.
Peace and chicken grease, motherfuckers. All right, don't have too much fun, all right?